Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Bourbon Basement. I'm Ryan,
And I'm Steve.
and if you all knew what we were going through right now behind the camera to get this show set up, and the fact that we're only a minute late, I think we're doing pretty good. But we're here,
Total
and
chaos at the
total
Farrell home.
total chaos. Here within the last like 5 minutes, everything just kaput. But anyway, we're good. We are live here, and today we're going to be doing a tasting and review of Yellowstone Single Barrel. We do have a couple other bottles. Do you want to tell them what's going on with these?
I was going to let you tell them, but I was going to do the little history and stuff first and then get into the bottles because they had more. But these were just up here for show, just to show the different types of Yellowstone.
That there are multiple types, but we
Yes.
are going to be doing this single barrel
Single barrel
today, and these will become at a later date. But go ahead and let's just jump straight into it. Let's go ahead and start
getting into it quick.
Before anything
I
else goes
guess we're
wrong.
rushing.
Before anything else goes wrong, let's hurry up.
Hold on just a second. I'm gonna wet my whistle.
Yes, Yellowstone tasting today. There are multiple types of Yellowstone, but today we're doing the single barrel, like we said. Hopefully, no more mishaps, and we're going to get started with a little bit of history, some background about Yellowstone and what makes it what it is.
Well, Yellowstone has been around since 1872. And the reason Yellowstone was made was to honor the brand new Yellowstone National Park. So they created Yellowstone for the national park. It's not for the TV show that's very popular going around.
I've never watched that.
Oh, well, it's a good one. I'll tell you, it gets you hooked. But it is for the Yellowstone National Park. So I guess from 1872 up until Prohibition, they run strong. And then in Prohibition, of course, you wasn't allowed to produce. They did not get a medicinal license, but they had a lot of barrels stored.
Okay.
All right. So what they did is they went to Brown-Forman.
So what was the other? Sorry, I'm not trying to throw you off.
That's
what was
all right.
the other one that we reviewed that did? Was that Peerless?
Peerless had it.
Peerless was in the same situation where they had all these barrels.
Makers, I think. No, Makers was older.
When you said that they had a bunch of barrels stored already, but couldn't do anything with it, that's what sparked in my mind that I heard you say that before.
I forget, but yes, they couldn't do nothing with it.
Okay.
But they went to Brown-Forman and basically had Brown-Forman sell their bourbon for them.
Okay.
So Brown-Forman charged them to store, bottle, and sell their bourbon as medicine, but it got Yellowstone through Prohibition. So as soon as Prohibition was repealed, they opened a distillery right there in Louisville, Kentucky on Whiskey Row.
Okay.
All right. So they was right there on Whiskey Row, right on Main Street in Louisville. And in the 60s, they were very popular in the 60s. They thrived. But in the 70s, their sales started to decline every year. And in 1985, they quit distilling Yellowstone bourbon. So why is it back, you may ask, right? But all right, so 1985, 1985, they shut her down and they said, we're not going to produce Yellowstone bourbon anymore. 1991, they sold it. And then from 91 to 93, it sold 4 times, but nothing was produced. I guess everybody was wanting the facilities and everything, but nothing was produced. Okay. So they didn't produce anything, but today it's owned by Limestone Branch. And Limestone Branch was founded by Steve and Paul Beam. Famous name, right?
Famous name.
Famous
Here comes
family.
the Beams again.
Famous name, famous family. So they are descendants of the famous Beams. Of course, the most popular being Jill.
They just live in bourbon. The Beam name just bourbon rolls throughout their bloodstream, I guess.
All over the place, different distilleries, master distillers. They're everywhere. So Steve and Paul, they brought back Yellowstone at Limestone Branch. So now just a little bit about the bourbon. So Yellowstone bourbon is 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% malted barley.
Now, is that kind of like the same as other bourbons where it's like the same build over everything? It's just a matter of storage area and stuff.
I didn't see a lot of difference. And what I did see about Yellowstone, we can go ahead and talk about these bottles. Most of their bottles with this mash bill is different finishes. So that's what I've noticed about them. They have the regular Kentucky straight bourbon. This is the Private Barrel Select Single Barrel. This is limited
The limited
edition,
edition, special edition one.
but it's I think it's finished in rum and cognac.
Cognac class.
Yeah.
Straight bourbon whiskey finished in cognac and brandy casks.
Yeah. So it's just, but it's a limited edition.
Yes.
And with that, I also saw one that was toasted finished. They got a special finishes series. There was one finished in rum cask.
There were 5 or 6 different bottles when I went to pick this one up.
Yeah.
And that's why I had to call and ask which one you were actually looking for.
I mean, that's fine. But so I think it is the same mash bill. I didn't see any, when I was looking, I didn't see any different mash bills.
So it's just
I think
finish
it's the same,
and aging.
mostly finish and age. But I didn't get an age statement on them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how old they are. Do you see any on yours? See, I don't see an age statement. So I'm going to guess they're aged for taste. Just like most of them say that don't have an age statement.
I guess.
Aged for taste. But anyway, a little bit about the process that they do, because they have a couple of unique things that they do, Yellowstone does, or the Paul and Steve do, that some of the other places don't do. So one of them, one that's different in their distilling process is how they cook their mash. So we've been on those tours, and you've seen these like ginormous pressure cookers, and that's where they all cook. And most of the tours don't even take you into that part. They kind of just walk you by it, and you get to the fermentation part, right? Well, the cooking part is like a big pressure cooker, but they open cook theirs. So I just imagine this big, humongous, like
big pot,
900-gallon pot sitting on a stove somewhere or something, right?
A big heater stove.
Maybe open flame fire under it, and they're just
this is how we're cooking, boys.
Well, they call it open cook, and they cook in 3 stages. So what that means is they don't put all their grain in there at one time and cook it. They put their corn in, and they cook the corn. And they do that, I think I saw the temperature was at like 200 degrees. Okay. So it's a slow cook, right? So they're cooking the corn, and when I guess at a certain point, they've cooked the corn a certain amount, then they lower the temperature, and then they add the rye. And then they cook the rye with the corn, and they do that for a certain length of time, and then they lower the temperature again, and they add their malted barley.
I thought you were going to say they're going to do something wild, like they cook the corn in this container on this degrees, and then they cook the rye in this container, and then at the end they all just
it all gets into the same pot, but it's not at the same time, not at the beginning, and it's not pressure cooked. So it's open cooked in 3 stages.
That's weird.
It was different. I haven't read that on any of the others that we've done so far.
Maybe they do it but don't tell you about it or anything. I don't know.
It could, but no.
This is the first I've heard.
A lot of, I mean, when we went to, we saw a lot of the cookers, and they look just like they have a big top on them, you know, big pressure cooker. Anyway, so open cooking, I thought that was interesting. Then I'm going to skip over this next part about the yeast and the fermentation, because that's the most interesting part to me. Okay. So we're going to go on to distilling. When they do distill their stuff, they use pot stills, no column stills. Most of the ones that we've done that did use pot stills also used a column still. You remember me talking about that, because Woodford Reserve sticks out in mind. They have the big pot stills. Yeah. Their little emblem is a pot still, you know. So they do use pot, but they use a column still as well. Well, this one, Yellowstone only uses pot stills. So kind of like the moonshine days. That's what a pot still reminds me of.
Sticking to the roots.
Yeah. So no column stills there. And they make several products. But the most interesting part that I found, and I thought it was kind of cool, didn't even know you could do this, was the yeast.
Okay.
All right. And I've told you all this before in several episodes. The yeast is like the biggest secret that these distilleries keep. Most of them will tell you their mash bills. Some of them are very secretive about that. But the yeast is the most kept secret. So Steve and Paul, they had a decision to make. What kind of yeast are we going to use? Where are we going to get this from? How are we going to do this? They wanted to keep the yeast in the Beam family. So they wanted to use some Beam yeast.
Beam yeast.
Beam yeast. But I mean, they can't go to Jim Beam. They're this, even though they are Beams, Steve and Paul. They are not affiliated with. They are the family,
but they're
but
still
they're
competitors.
not the company of Jim Beam. Okay, so they are separate, even though it's the same family line. Okay, I know. I don't know if they. I don't know if this family's had a falling out. I mean, some families do. I'm not going to start rumors, but they want.
You heard it here first, folks.
No, the Beams are feuding.
Beams are feuding, guys.
I don't think they are. I'm going to say they're not.
I don't think the Beams are feuding.
No, I don't know. But anyway, they wanted some Beam lineage, so they go to Bardstown to the Oscar Getz Whiskey Museum, and they go to an old yeast jug, and they get DNA from that and recreate that yeast that they use right here today. And
so
that
they lightweight stole.
No, it's not stealing. It's theirs. It was just in a. I guess they didn't have any stored wherever, but they got it at this museum. So they found a way to get it. I thought it was very creative. I thought it was cool. I didn't even know you can do it. Kind of reminds me of Jurassic Park.
We're DNA testing our yeast.
Well, it reminds me of Jurassic Park, going back and making some daggone dinosaurs. They brought back a dinosaur.
And still use it to this day.
Yeah, and so that yeast strain, it goes all the way back. I know to Guy Beam, but they said it could go back further. It may go back to Jim Beam himself.
Not confirmed.
Well, it just says it goes back. Could even go back further. They wanted it's their great grandfather.
Okay,
they got their great grandfathers. Anyway, so they are producing Yellowstone.
These guys are scientists.
They're bringing it back. They're doing different finishes, different staves, different things for their bourbon, and
very experimental.
And I don't wonder if the TV shows made Yellowstone more popular.
Maybe just thinking that it's connected
to the TV show.
They see the name Yellowstone.
If they
could
get this bourbon on that TV show,
imagine the marketing.
Boy, that would be something.
Hey, Beams, come on, take our word for it. Let's get some advertising out there.
Bourbon.
Just give us a little bit of royalty. We'll take it.
Get it on there. Get it on Yellowstone. But this was for the national park, not the TV show. Although, if it got onto the show, they could. Hey, this was all for the show. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get the. You want to tell them about the bottles we got, and then you want to do that?
I don't know much about them. I just know that I was told to get them.
I was just going to pick them up and read them. Just kind of tell us about the proofs and everything.
I can do that kind of stuff. All right. So this is your regular one that you'll find on the shelf anywhere. This is just a regular small batch. It's a 46.5% alcohol volume, 93 proof. Of course, just your regular fifth.
And that's their standard.
This is your standard small batch, like you would.
So that's what we would call the least expensive.
Yes, this was
under 30, right?
Or like right at 30 or something like that. Around the same as all your other big name small batches. You've already told them basically about all that. They can actually give you a little bit of history on the back label of the bottle too. But this is your regular small batch.
And then this one here is a limited edition.
This is a 2024 release.
I love
limited
the bottle.
Edition. It is a very nice looking bottle. Makes these look really,
love the
plain.
bottle. And that's the thing. We've talked about the wine bottle look before, and it's classic. It's cool. But the different kind of bottles, that does it.
I don't know why. And this is going to sound kind of strange, but I kind of like the nub in the bottom of it. It's got.
They won't be able to see it.
You won't be able to see it, but there's like a nub, like my finger can disappear in it, that goes up in the bottom. I don't know why.
I guess if it was flat, it would be more than a fifth.
I mean, I guess. Give us that little extra what?
I don't know what that is, but
all right. But this is your 2024 limited edition release. It's a 101 proof. Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey finish in cognac and brandy cask. As we said before, this is bottle number 3208. And that's all it says.
And that's limited edition. So that one run about $140, right?
Yeah, just because it's the 2024 release. I don't know how limited this was.
I don't know either, but it was the most expensive one out of all of them.
Cool thing about it, apparently Stephen Beam is still the master distiller at Yellowstone. Yeah, he has signed all of these.
He is. That's Steve and Paul.
Yeah. Well, still to this day, we've got all kinds of John Hancocks from him.
And this is the one we're trying today.
This is the one we're trying today. This is your single barrel hand-picked collection. This is, oh, this is kind of stiff. There's 115 proof, 57.5 alcohol volume. That's about it.
So 115 proof, single barrel, private selection. When you get to the private selections, if you all are unfamiliar with that, so single barrel is a single barrel, but a private selection is where a store or a person or an event holder or something has gone and tested some barrels and picked that barrel for them. And then Yellowstone will bottle it for them. And I think that was Liquor Barn.
This is Liquor Barn number 14.
Yeah, so Liquor Barn chose this specific barrel, so I don't know how they do it. They must have tasters. Liquor Barn, I'm getting ready to retire. Send them. I'll do that job. I'll do their private barrel selections.
Barreled on October 9th, 2018.
Anyway, so that's what that is. So they went there, they picked out this barrel, they liked it, and they said, hey, bottled us some single barrels out of this. And that's what that is. So private selection is just, if you wanted to pay for it, you could have a private selection single barrel.
Hard telling how much that barrel is.
I don't know how much they cost, but this one here, I believe it was about $75. And we were talking earlier about the toasted. They have toasted. They have rum finished,
which is what I would imagine is they're like double oaked. You're gonna get a lot of oak in that toasted one.
Yeah, the toasted one. But all those bottles were running around between $70 and $80, I think. So anyway, they're pretty. I think they're pretty expensive bottles. Most of them.
They are. I think. I mean, like we said, this is the cheapest one, but yeah. I think they only went up from here. I think even the toasted one was about $20 more than this one, so that's about $50. And then you got your
$55 to $80 on the average. Yeah, though. $55 to $80.
So this is like I guess they're considering themselves mid-tier in
price rise.
Yeah,
anyway.
Price wise. We do have a question though. What does small batch mean?
Well, that's a very good question. So small batch, it can mean many things to different distillers, but what it really means is that they've taken a small number of barrels, and some distillers it's 6, some distillers it's 10 barrels, and they dump those barrels all at the same time to be filling bottles. So they basically mix those barrels together to fill the bottle to get their standard taste. Now, some small batches, all a small batch has to be is less than their standard.
Now, is that kind of where, if they put the year on there, all the barrels that go into that are at least that year? Like, just say another one. So, like this knob 18 year up here. So they could take 6 barrels, but all of them are aged at least 18 years.
That's correct, because that's not a single barrel. So a single barrel means it's one barrel at 18 years.
Yes.
But if it just says Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey 18 years, they could have 100 barrels,
but they're all at least 18 years.
So now this one here, it says Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. So straight bourbon, when they're making their bourbon whiskey, what they're trying to do is get the flavor the same in a million bottles. Okay, so they may take 100 barrels to make their Kentucky straight. So now a small batch, if they label one as a small batch, that just means it's less than 100 barrels.
Okay.
So there's no real standard. But when
that's not a small batch to me.
It's not. But when I was looking up small batch, most distillers use 20 barrels or less in their small batch bourbons.
Okay.
20 barrels or less.
Now that's a small batch.
Kind of a rule of thumb, maybe.
Okay, that makes more sense.
But a lot of them only use like 6.
Hopefully that answered your question. That was from... who was that from? It was from GGPop24 over on Twitch.
Thanks,
Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you tuning in. Drop a like on YouTube. Follow on Twitch.
Follow, please.
Sub. Sponsor.
Doesn't matter.
Bourbon.
Doesn't matter. Let's pour some and taste some. You want to?
Let's do it.
Let's do the single barrel private selection. I'm gonna let you pour.
And we're not comparing these bottles today, but I want to give a comparison just in the bottle itself. The coloring of these.
Hopefully it shows up on the video as well as it does here. The one on the let's see, it would be your left is going to be 96 proof. Is that right, Rye? And the one on the right is 115 proof. 93 and 115. So that's a big difference. There was no age statement on either bottle, so we don't know how long either one of these were aged. And I did not see anything in the research.
But even just looking at these, you can tell that this one's definitely aged longer. You can tell just by the coloring of it.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing each one is probably 4 to 5 years.
I mean, at least.
I'm thinking each one.
I'm thinking
4 to 5 years.
3 to 4, 5 to 6.
Doesn't
6 to 7, maybe 8.
When they do them when they finish them differently, they age them longer because they have to, right?
I wish for the limited edition one they would have put when it was barreled, because this one says October 9th of 2018.
Yeah.
I wonder why they wouldn't have done that for this one.
Well, it's a 2024, so it's sometime this. Oh, when it was barreled.
When it was barreled, that one was 2018.
This one was barreled in 2018.
In 2018.
Okay.
Why would they not have done that for this one?
I
Yellowstone,
don't know.
what
So
we doing?
you can kind of go there. This is approximately a 6-year-old bourbon.
Yep. So
this was hand selected in a single barrel.
I said 5 to 6 just based on the color.
That's a 6-year-old bourbon just on that one. They don't do nothing like that on this, do they? On
no.
This one? Okay.
No, just your regular front label. Not a whole lot going on. Just your proof.
I'm gonna do the pop.
Make it a good one. It's
decent. Kind of weak.
I think. Which one? Peerless. Peerless had a good pop. I will give it that. But Peerless has a cork the size of Manhattan. Where is it? Yeah, that one's the one with the big wooden top on it. That one was bound to pop. I'm not pouring. I waste too much.
See that professional?
You've had too much practice. Makes you look bad.
I'm just saying. All right.
It does have a nice amber color. It's probably the glass. It does look a lot lighter than what it did in the bottle. But these glasses are very wide at the bottom.
This one's got an orangey tinge to it.
Boy, look at how it beads up on the line.
Almost like a real thick. Yeah.
Don't say
it. What?
But look at how it just beads up. The tears on this one, guys.
My tears are just now developing. But it's pretty. It makes the glass look real good. Y'all can notice that right there. Can you pick them up on the camera?
Oh, yeah.
That light does a lot of distractions from it. All right, I got some. We're only tasting one tonight, so we didn't need any more palate cleansers other than water. We've got that. Got some distilled water right here. About the 4th sip, we'll put some of that in, see what it does to the flavor profile.
This is a smooth glass, I promise, guys. All that rippling that you saw on the camera, that's all tears falling down from where we did our little aroma.
We just got a little coffee beans here to clear our nose.
Have I had this one before? We did this one on our tasting.
The very first tasting we did.
So it's been a while since I've had this one. I don't remember exactly what I thought of it. Wow, those are potent.
It's got a little sting.
Just a little bit, but after you go in for that second smell, it's gone. After you singe all your nose hairs.
Yeah, the first one had a little sting to it.
It's nice, though.
I get a lot of fruitiness to it.
It's very bright, if that makes sense. It's got a lot of bright smells.
I won't say the C word that I get. If you watched our two episodes ago, I guess. 2 episodes ago, I got stuck on a.
That's one of his forbidden words.
On a
now.
Spice that starts with a C and ends in mun.
It has the word "inna" in it.
But I got that again. Of course, the fruits.
I'm getting. It's a berry fruit is what I'm getting. So let's narrow it down a little bit on that. I'm getting berries. I'm getting, of course, what you said. I'm getting a slight bit of oakiness.
Yeah, the oak, and I don't get a lot of smoke on this one.
I'm smelling pumpkin.
Do you?
I do. I smell pumpkin. Like if you just opened up the top of a pumpkin, I'm getting something's
I don't get
coming
that.
out.
I wonder if they say anything about it.
No, they've all got the same label on the back, minus
Okay.
this one. That one doesn't have one at all.
Yeah, so I'm trying to
Shame.
distinguish the fruits. You get berries. I get
I get
plums.
berry and pumpkin, and then cinnamon because I'm allowed to say it, and then a little bit of oakiness. It's nice though. It's
My
very
producer
bright.
wants to try smell. You can walk into the camera, babe.
We're gonna get an
You
arm.
might get us more views looking good like that.
Easy. We haven't even had a drink yet. I like it. I know I've had my nose in this thing for the last 5 minutes, but
Yeah.
it's a very pleasant
the,
smell.
The nose to us is more. It's more complicated than the palate right now for me.
Well, it's a lot easier to
She didn't
taste.
distinguish anything out of there.
It's a lot easier to taste for me than it is to smell. Because I promise I will taste a lot more flavors than I will ever smelling.
Well, let's go in for that. Let's go in for that first one. Tell them about that a little bit.
So when we do, I'm sure those of you who have tuned in has heard this, and those of you who haven't, I'll teach you how we're going to do it. We have over the tours that we've gone on, taken tips and tricks from all the tastings that we've attended, and kind of put the best ones that we thought suited better in a whole. So the first sip we're going to be doing just a tiny sip, coating your tongue and then the inside of your mouth just to acclimate to the burn. And let's go ahead and do that. You already done? Okay.
Already done it. Done and done. I'm gonna go in for another smell now. It had a pleasant burn on that acclimation.
It's not bad.
No, it was pleasant for 115.
Yeah,
proof.
not for the proof.
This is a 115 proof. The producer says she got a little nuttiness.
It hangs with you though.
The burn.
It sticks around a little longer than other burns do
because it has a thick chew. It coats that tongue really well.
I'm going to show you a thick chew here in a minute. All right, second sip's another acclimation sip. You're not worried about tasting or anything yet. You're just trying to get the burn out of the way.
That's a good way to put it. Get the burn out of the way. So on that third sip, all the experts, that's when they do their tasting. The burn should be gone.
Burn's gone for me on the second sip.
See, I still had a little bit. I still had a little bit of burn on the second one, but not bad. So this third sip, this is the one.
This is where you got to lock in.
This is where we judge. Start trying to pull out some flavors. Oh, forgot to tell you guys. You got a Yellowstone bourbon. You want to join in a drink
or any
with us?
bourbon for that matter.
If you don't have Yellowstone, you can pick out any one. If you do have a Yellowstone, join with us and try to pick out some flavors with us.
Just to experiment on your own.
We need to remember to invite them to do that because we want to be their drinking buddies. That's what this show's about. We want them to drink with us so we can drink with them. And
I'm not enough anymore, folks. He needs you all too.
I think I'm done. Turn this thing off. Now let's finish this.
All That's the end of the Bourbon Basement, folks.
Let's get to the third one.
Lock in, guys. This is where we start actually trying to develop or pick out what exactly we're tasting in this bad boy.
Now, my producer got the smell of nuttiness. I did not. I get a little nutty taste. This actually tastes a little like a payday candy bar to me.
I'm getting more of a bourbon ball. Like a
chocolatey
pecan.
Yeah. Saying I get a peanutty caramel, like a payday.
What's nice though?
It's very nice. I get kind of a campfire taste in there too.
There's the oakiness, the charry.
Yeah, I get a little bit of campfire taste, but it meshes well.
I'm not getting any of the fruitiness anymore out of the taste.
I didn't get a single bit of. I don't get any really sweetness except the caramel.
I'm getting the chocolate, and then there may be a little bit of caramel in there for me, but I mean the chocolate and the nuttiness is kind of overwhelming. And then of course I don't say it anymore because it's like this with all bourbons that I've had. But you get the charness, you get the oakiness of the barrel. I just figured those are kind of to be expected. So I don't even list those in my tasting list anymore.
I'm gonna drop a couple drops of water.
I think I'm gonna go 4.
Yeah,
I think 4 has been about my standard for what I've been doing with these.
So all we did is drop some distilled water in there, distiller's water. It's boiled water, so it has no flavor, no taste. But it will change the taste and the smell of your bourbon. So if you do bourbon on the rocks, if you like it with that coolness to it, if you make your
wow, that water.
if you make it, did it get stuck in your throat?
No, I literally. You'll see it if you go back and watch it.
I'll get ready.
But my face when I took that smell after that water, woo! It's bright. It's so bright.
If you drink it on the rocks, like I was saying, if you make your ice cube with distilled water, it won't add any of those chemicals that they put to treat water in. You can also use spring water. A lot of spring water is like filtered through limestone, which is what we have here in Kentucky. But you still get a little bit of those natural ingredients in your water then.
That's a good
Whereas distilled water, it bulls all that out.
That water awoken a beast in that.
All right, so we put a little water in it, and you was a little bit more stout.
Wow. It awoken a beast to me. No way. You didn't put enough water in there.
I think I don't have as much bourbon as you, so my... No.
No? Wow.
It just hit you the wrong way.
No, because I still get it.
Are you pulling out anything different than you did the first time?
I'm trying to get my nose out of stun mode.
I get that campfire smell.
I get the charriness
that
and the smell. I get the charriness. I get the... There's no fruitiness anymore. It's gone to a savory, smoky...
I almost get a roasted marshmallow smell now. Sorry.
I can hear your mustache on the glass.
All right, I'm going in for that last one. I think the water made it more of the spices come out.
Yeah.
I got a little peppery spice in there. I don't get the payday candy bar anymore.
No, the sweetness is gone with the water.
Yeah. The sweetness, it changed it a bunch on my profile there because the sweetness went away and the peppery stuff came out. The hot spice stuff. I mean, it wasn't like it burnt, but like jalapeno. I got a lot of jalapeno kind of Mexican.
It's kind of like you just
spices in there.
But the feeling on my tongue right now is like I took a chip and salsa and just put it salsa side down and just held it there.
Just let it sit on your tongue. Overall,
that's not a complaint.
No, I don't think it's bad bourbon. But overall, what do you think? You like it?
I liked it better without the water.
I did too. I liked it better, so I would drink this neat.
I would definitely drink this neat.
Even though it's 115 proof, you may think you need to water it down or put it on the rocks.
You don't.
You don't.
Just don't drink as much of it.
To me, it was better neat than it was with water.
It 100% was better without the water.
And that is the single barrel.
Barrel Yellowstone.
Yep. Private selection.
Private selection, liquor barn selection.
115 proof. Let's give it some star ratings.
Well, I'm not going to say this is a beginner bourbon. This is probably like an intermediate, especially with price tag and everything. You're looking at more intermediate. This is one that you're going to go grab off the shelf. It's a little bit on the expensive side. And it's a higher proof than what you want to start out with. That's the kind of bourbon that's going to turn people off of it, just because it does kind of snatch you at the beginning on that acclimation taste, but then after that it was fine. But that's to be expected out of a 115 proof.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the burn was bad at all for that high of a proof.
No, it was pretty good. Pretty smooth.
Appearance, I love it. It's a dark amber color. This one is a little light for my taste, but I'm still looking forward to tasting it at a later date. This is more what I look for in a bourbon. Nice dark amber color. Love the appearance of it. Once again, the burn wasn't that bad for a 115 proof. I thought the flavors were nice. Definitely, my nose and mouth were definitely conflicted on this one. My nose was getting sweetness, and my palate was too before the water. I guess I was getting the chocolatey bourbon ball nuttiness, which was very pleasant. I like this bourbon a lot. Neat. So if you do happen to get this one, I don't recommend putting it on the rocks, but your palate could be completely different than mine. I would just drink it neat. I'm gonna give it. It's a 7 for me. Honestly,
7.
I
Nice.
liked it a lot.
Nice. I wasn't gonna go as high, and I'm just taking the price of it.
It is a little on the steeper side.
The taste was good. I did enjoy it. I would sit back and sip this bourbon. I am very excited to try these other two now.
Yes.
And compare them.
I feel like we set our standards really high, though. I feel like this one should have been the first one we tried.
We should have, but
this one was open.
I bought this one, and it was open, so we went with it today.
We did them out of order.
But I am very excited to try these. I don't do many bourbons finished in different barrels. Yeah. Angel's Envy comes to mind. I think all of theirs finish in a port wine barrel. I think that's kind of their thing. They finish them. They've always finished them in a port wine barrel. So on the Angel's Envy, I've had them there. It's over there, right back there on the shelf.
Oh, I was about to say, where's Envy?
They got moved. So with those, I can try them, but I haven't tried anything like this. Any kind of limited edition. So I'm really excited about trying these other two. I'm very interested in trying this now for the lower price to see
their basic.
To see kind of how it would compare to a Maker's Mark or a regular Jim Beam. Because that's their regular bourbon, about $30. So my star ranking, though, with all of those other things, the price, the taste, is there better stuff at that price? Yes. This is middle of the class at that price, I think. I can think of 4 or 5 others that I have back here that I would drink other than this for that price. So I'm going to give it a 5.
Once again, we're not comparing to other bourbons.
It's hard not to, though.
You don't. This is its own thing. We are ranking this particular one. We're not comparing this to Double Oak Woodford.
I'm going to give it 5 1/4 stars then.
He's not understanding the point of the star ranking. It's a star ranking for this particular bourbon, not compared to any other ones. He's comparing this to like Double Oak Woodford or something for the same price range.
Well, it's hard not to compare a bourbon that you. Okay, so when I think about it, would I go out and spend? Would I go out and spend $70 when this bottle is empty? Will I go spend $70 to buy another one of these bottles? And the answer is, I go to the shelf. And I look, and I have other bourbons that I like better for cheaper. I'm going to buy them, so I'm not going to buy this one again. So
that's the point we're trying to make.
Therefore, a 5-star rating.
He's still not getting the point. So I would take my star rating over his, just personally, because I'm doing the bourbon itself. This is for an intermediate drinker. I think that an intermediate drinker would rank this as 7 stars. Not compared to another bourbon.
I'm not trying to compare it. I have drunk it, and it was good. But good is still 5 stars is still good. 5 out of 10 is good. Do I have to get out the tasting sheets from last time to see what you thought about it last time? Because I think when we did our first tasting, we tasted 8 bourbons.
I think this
was at the bottom of your list.
It was like number 5
out of 8. So that tells you
that means that 3 were below it.
It's not bad.
I enjoyed it.
It's not bad. It was good. It was good bourbon. It's a good sipper. There's a lot of flavors to try to pull out of it. So if you are into drinking and sitting there and trying to decide or decipher the flavors, it's got a lot in there, doesn't it?
It will pick your brain.
It will. So it's good in that way. It's good in the heat part. It's good in the proof. I'm sure if you drink a couple of these, you'd probably be feeling pretty good.
Feeling pretty decent.
But it's still just 5 stars to me. All right.
Well, that's the ratings, ladies and gents. If you had this at home to try, let us know what you thought in the comments. If you tried another bourbon and were experimenting with us, let us know that down in the comments as well.
Please do. And let me, if you go back and watch a video, and you can leave comments to that video, and we will read those comments, and we will try to answer your questions on the next episode. I try to look at those things at least once a week before our next episode comes up to see if we've had any.
I usually check them every day.
So if you have a comment about one of our past shows, go ahead, put it on there. We'll see that comment come up, and we'll address it on our next live show. Maybe the first thing that we do before we start talking about anything
After the introduction, we might as well just start out with it.
Yeah.
So don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Leave us some comments. We love y'all's feedback.
Any feedback is greatly appreciated because we're still flying by the seat of our pants on this show.
We love the questions that come in live. Those are great too.
Those might even be a little bit better, just so they can get their answer immediately.
I like those, but I mean, a lot of people may not have time to watch us live, and that's understandable.
Better watch us live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Friday.
All right, what are we doing next week? Next week's Black Friday. Shopping day, biggest shopping day of the year.
We even going to be able to do it next Friday? We've got a meal that evening, don't we?
We won't be able to do it at 6. What time you want to do it? You want to do it earlier?
We might have to do it a little early, a couple hours earlier next week. We'll do it at 4.
We can do it at 4. We can do it on Saturday.
We'll just do it at 4 on Friday.
4 on Friday.
So we're going 2 hours earlier next Friday. Might not be able to catch a lot of you all that are wanting to tune in because you might. Well, no, they should have that day off of work, right?
Well, most people do. I think.
You should have that day off of work. Maybe. I don't
know.
But
they might be shopping. Otherwise, may have them drug out there. 4 o'clock.
Get on your mobile devices, guys. YouTube's available on anything.
Cyber Monday. That's Cyber Monday.
They could be out shopping on their phone. Get your mobile device. YouTube's available on everything, folks. Go get your new computer to watch us on.
I know what you mean. My bad. It went over my head.
Well, my mouth is about eye level to you, so it's easy to do. All right, next week.
You're 6'5". I'm 6'1".
Next week.
Opens are over here. You want to do? We can do Rabbit Hole. We can do Four Roses. We can do Blade and Bow.
See, I thought that we were doing Four Roses this week, so let's do it next week.
Four Roses next week.
We'll do Four Roses next week.
Four Roses sounds great.
What made you choose Yellowstone? Because I thought that we had talked about Four Roses.
I chose Yellowstone because I was on my app
and already had stuff picked out.
This limited edition bottle come out.
So he picked Yellowstone because
when this limited edition bottle come out, I was like, hey. So, folks, I had tried this before. This was good enough for me to want to go get the limited edition of it. So it's a good bourbon.
He's still giving me junk about his star.
It just get 5 stars. Anyway, this come out. I wanted that bourbon. I wanted it in this episode, and I was like, hey, let's get this bourbon and this bourbon, and we'll do it.
That's why Yellowstone was this week. Four Roses is going to be next week.
Unless we change our minds.
We'll do Four Roses.
It's our show.
Four Roses next week, Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be going 2 hours early because we do have prior engagements later that evening. But I think that's about it. I think that's about it, guys. Once again, guys, appreciate you all giving us a little bit of time out of your evening. If you want to catch all of our streams, they are archived on our YouTube channel. Just go to the Bourbon Basement, no spaces, on YouTube and Twitch. Give us a follow on Twitch. But they are archived on our YouTube channel. Just go to the live tab, and you'll be able to see all of our streams that we've done in the past. Leave some comments on them. Drop some love on them with some likes. Subscribe. Spread the name Bourbon Basement around for everyone to hear.
No spaces.
No spaces, guys.
The Bourbon Basement.
We ain't that big yet. The Bourbon Basement, no spaces. All that being said, though, guys, appreciate you giving us a little bit of time out of your day. Once again, as always, why drink alone?
When you can drink with us.
We'll see y'all Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard.
Hey, can I have a hug? I'll just settle for another Kentucky hug then. I hope it's a good warm one.